So the most important thing that a biker can do, besides knowing who they're going to use as their attorney. I know that sounds strange. I don't mean that as a pitch. It's not for me. It's for any biker out there. Know ahead of time who you're going to call for a couple reasons. One, it's important to know who you can trust and who's going to have your back and who's going to handle your case correctly. But two, a lot of times a motorcycle accident is very catastrophic and you're not awake and you're not alert and you're in surgeries and you're in comas and you're in the hospital for weeks at a time. And during that time, somebody in your family usually goes and hires somebody and they don't know who they're hiring. And they just go and get any attorney they can get. And that's never good for a biker. You got to have somebody who really does understand motorcycle law. And there's not a lot of us out there who really can say that they are a motorcycle attorney. But the reason we're talking today is you have to have the correct coverage. So the first coverage is liability. And what does that mean? Well, that's every state has a minimum liability. Arizona, Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, California. That just covers you if you hurt somebody else. So liability is, for example, you're riding your bike and you hit somebody. Whatever coverage you have is what you have to take care of that person. That also goes for if somebody's on your bike. So you did go pick up a honey last night. She gets on your bike and you wipe out. Well, guess what? She's not going to be your honey anymore. She's going to want to come after you. She's going to hire somebody like me. Okay. And when I start looking around, you only have, the state minimum. You have 15 or you have 25 or you have 30, and she's got a $300,000 injury. I'm digging everywhere. I'm looking. Okay. So liability is something you should, first of all, try to get as much as you can get. It just protects you, period, if you hurt somebody else or you cause the accident. So that's liability. Next, collision. What does that mean? What is collision? Everybody, every biker I talk to, they could be laying in the hospital, mangled. First question, how's my bike? How's my bike? How's my bike? It's always the first question, and that's understandable. I think Country, you asked me that too. I'm not all right. So
hey, please tell me Country didn't ask how was his bike.
He might have, if I recall. Okay. But look, it's really important. A bike is a big investment, and it's part of your life. So how do you protect your bike? Well, Reef talked about a lot of great different coverages. You have to make sure, no matter what, that you have accessory coverage, that you have the right collision coverage, that you have gap insurance if you bought your bike ahead of time. Now, gap insurance is a separate insurance, so that's for a different topic. But the most important part about collision is that you have it set up so that if your bike gets destroyed, you have enough coverage. Like Reef was talking about, they might insure your bike for X amount of dollars. That's always a great. Now, not every insurance company does that. Okay, so that's something you have to just call around and get the right rates. And your deductible is important too. Just always keep that in mind, that a lot of bikers will say, give me the highest deductible because then your rates are the cheapest. But then when it comes time for your bike to get repaired, you got to pay that deductible. So keep that in mind too. But those are the two main parts of a motorcycle policy. And that's usually where the insurance company will stop, because there's one important coverage that would have helped Reef, would help Slider, help Country, and it's called uninsured motorist coverage. Okay, what is that? I'm going to explain it in layman's terms. Somebody hits you and they don't have enough insurance. If you have uninsured motorist coverage, it makes up the difference for what you collect from them and then what you can add on to your recovery. So as an example, it doesn't matter what state you're in, whether it's Texas, Florida, Arizona, California. You get hit by somebody and you have a catastrophic injury and your case is worth $200,000, but the person that hit you has a $25,000 policy. Well, if you don't have any other insurance coverage, you're stuck with the $25,000. Okay, and Slider, that's what happened to you. Country, that's what happened to you. But if you have your own policy of, let's say, $100,000 in coverage, or $200,000, or $1 million, whatever you get, no matter what happens, that's the amount of coverage you have at a minimum to protect you if somebody hits you, whether they have insurance or not. So it's something that an insurance company doesn't want to sell you. Why don't they want to sell you that? Because they know you might have to use it. So they get you to sign a waiver, and you don't forget, or they sell you the minimal you could get. So, for example, in California, state minimum policies are $15,000. That's all you need to have, and then you can ride, and you're all good. So they say, well, just get $15,000 in uninsured motorist coverage. Well, let me tell you, that won't cover the aspirin that you get in the emergency room. So I never tell anybody to go spend their money. That's every man, every woman to themselves. Whatever you want to do with your money, that's your business. But if you get on that motorcycle and you're expecting the person that hit you, that they're going to cover you should you break your leg, lose a leg, get a brain injury, it's not going to happen. Unless you get quote unquote lucky and you get hit by Walmart or an Amazon truck or something, a big company, you're SOL. Okay? And that's no good. So slider, perfect example. And I'm not trying to, this in no way is to try to make you, feel bad, or I'm just trying to use you as an example. What happened to you? Had you had, for example, just say $50,000 in uninsured motorist coverage, okay, you would have been able to get whatever you got from the other party, and then you could have gone after your own coverage and tacked that onto your Now, how much of a difference would that have been? 11,000 versus say 60,000, or 11,000 versus 100,000. Or you can get, I've had clients who have 250,000 in coverage, $1 million in coverage. So it's every man to himself, every woman to himself who's listening to me, okay, out there. You do whatever you want when you get on the bike, but why wouldn't you want to protect yourself and never rely on somebody else and have that peace of mind? Country, same, Country and I had this conversation 100 times. Country's a great man. We talked a lot during his recovery and everything. And I kept saying, oh my God, I can't believe you didn't have, uninsured. If I remember, you said you weren't even sure what that was, because your insurance company is not going to tell you, because they know there's going to be a slider. There's going to be a Country. There's going to be, thousands and thousands of people. And it also goes for your automobile insurance too. Do the same thing. Add it all. So insurance is always besides knowing how to ride your motorcycle, insurance is the most important thing you can do when you get on that bike. And it's something that nobody thinks about. They don't really, you don't really think about it. You go, oh, I got the state minimum. I know, wherever you are, if you're in California, if you're in Arizona, I need 15 or I need 25, right? And that's what you get, because you get the cheapest thing you can get. You cover your bike. You figure I'll be okay. I mean, look, I'm not trying to jinx anybody. Believe me, I hate these conversations. Okay, when I get those phone calls every day, it's horrible. I don't want to hear about that. Who wants to hear about that? But it happens, and it's what I do. So I try to educate bikers ahead of time, so that if you do call me, I can actually really help you and really get you a good recovery. So I can only emphasize it a million times a day. When you get off this podcast, look at your insurance coverage, because it doesn't matter if you have collision and you have towing and you have rental and you have tripping, all that's great. But if you're in the hospital for a month and your case is worth $200,000 and you can only get the $25,000 from the person that hit you, and that's the worst conversation I have to have. I mean, when I had to have that conversation with Country, it's horrible. It's horrible conversation. And I believe me, I look everywhere. I look under every rock and every cave and everything for money. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the insurance policy. So the other thing that I wanted to address real fast, what a slider had mentioned, waiting 3 weeks to get your bike repaired and fixed that's just not acceptable. Not acceptable. At my firm, we have a separate property damage department. So the second you hire us as an attorney, we're already working on getting your property done, because that's also an important part of a case, because you could be losing money. You still have payments to make on the bike. You could have put thousands of dollars into the bike. You're racking up storage charges, all these things that happen. And, a lot of attorneys out there don't, like I said, they call themselves a motorcycle attorney, but they wouldn't know a Vulcan from an Indian, from a Harley, from, they don't know what that means. They just know that, you're in an accident, I'll try to get a quick buck off you. And it's not what we do. So that was a good point that Slider made. He had to wait 3 weeks, and it's stress for him. He's all stressed out. He wants to know about his butt. So that's just something on the side. And then the other thing I wanted to real quickly tell you is always make sure, if you're racked up, like Country was racked up real bad, try to get on state disability right away if you can. That's through your doctors. So that's just something to keep in mind. You get messed up, you're laying in the hospital, you can't go to work. Get the state disability going right away. Now, that doctors have to do that. I can't do that for a client, but I always try to push the client to get that going right away. So that's just another little side piece of advice there. But the most important thing I can stress today is to have the adequate insurance. I mean, period. We go around to clubs all around, California, Arizona, Texas, Florida, everywhere, wherever we go. And that's the first thing I do. I sit down, takes 10 seconds. I say, show me your deck page. Take out their phone. They show it to me. I don't care who you use. I don't care who the insurance company is. I don't like any of them. Okay. They're the enemy, and they're not your friend. Okay. Insurance companies, they have great commercials on TV. I love, the Andy Reid commercial, Fumble Rooski. That's great. Okay. They ain't going to be talking like that to you when you're trying to collect, off an insurance policy. So insurance companies are not your friend. They're set up to screw you over. They are. That's just their job. That's why they're in business. Okay. They take your money and then they screw you over, period. I'm just calling it like it is. Okay. So that's why you need an experienced attorney. It doesn't mean it's me. I'm just saying you just need an experienced attorney in your back pocket. And we tell everybody we can tell, look, if you like me and you want to use me one day, which I hope you never have to do, make sure people know that. Make sure your family knows that. Your friends know that. Your president of your club. Like, for example, Coach over at Down the Pound. He knows me real well. If somebody gets hurt, he's directing them to me because he trusts me, because he knows I'm not going to pull any, Soul Brothers. I mean, we sponsor, the 48 in Arizona every year. That's our, that's our club. We're there hey, you'll see me there every year. Okay. They call me the bike set attorney for a reason.